Hello! I didn't see you there. But while you are here, I might as well tell you about a new series that I saw on Crunchyroll. It's called Sega Girls, or more appropriately, Hi-sCool Seha Girls. Hi-sCool Seha Girls is based off the 2013 light novel Sega Girls, where the series features 3 video game systems. Mega Drive, who is serious and reserved, Saturn, who is more balanced but also gets more of the short end of the stick, and Dreamcast, who is fun and lighthearted. In this series, the 3 game systems are humanized and placed into a high school setting, because that's anime. The plot itself is very light. The 3 girls must earn 100 medals from their studies while being taught by their sensei, Center, who is depicted as a pixelated rabbit that lives inside a television. The 13-part series comes off as part Sega commercial and also part love letter for Sega fans. The series is chock full of references and cameos from Sega's earliest days, so if you've been a long-time Sega follower, you're going to catch a lot of references in this. The lessons that the 3 girls learn are all based around various Sega games. The girls have to learn how to work together inside these video games, and along the way they run into various Sega characters. And it gets weird. It gets really weird. As a longtime Sega fan, I enjoyed all the references. The animation is a cel-shaded style, and it also relies heavily on in-game footage. The adventures they get into are fun and silly, and even some of the side conversations that they get into, everything from boys to boobs to baseball, just get absolutely weird. There were a couple times that I chuckled. They get some really far-off ideas on how they think the world works. Some episodes are better than others, but there were a few highlights for me. Space Channel 5 was one of my favorite episodes just because it got so absolutely bizarre by the end and went off the rails. Jet Set Radio was another fun episode. It was lighter and had a little bit more of a sweet tone to it. There was a cool Space Harrier episode, a game that I feel never gets featured enough. Along the way, the girls go through a lot of video games, forge strong friendships, and by the time that they graduate, well, I'll get back to that later. I really liked the art design of the girls. They really featured some of the great stylings of each individual system. And while mentioned only in passing, some of the other video game systems made cameos, such as Game Gear and Sega Master System. Even the American Genesis made an appearance as a girl, which apparently they view us all as cowboys, which I think is kind of funny. So why are video games going to school? Well, that's where the final episode comes in, and I'm going to get a little bit into spoiler territory here. While the main 12 episodes are usually very light and funny, the 13th episode takes a little bit more of a meta tone to it. The final episode reveals that the 3 systems aren't really girls at all. They're ideas in somebody's head. More specifically, their teacher, which is heavily implied to be Yuji Naka. Upon graduation, the girls are asked to leave the mind of the creator so they can enter the real world as systems to bring happiness to everybody all across the world. And I think it's kind of a nice idea that these are just simply ideas going off in one person's head, and eventually this is the pardon the pun, genesis that will eventually launch Sega's long career through the late 80s to early 2000s. The real question is, are you going to enjoy this series? And really, I feel that all depends on a couple things. I watched it on Crunchyroll, so therefore all the language was in its native Japanese with English subtitles. Some people like subtitles, other people don't. Subtitles actually personally don't bother me. Also, it depends on how deep your Sega knowledge is. They go all the way back to Congo Bongo at one point, which is one of Sega's earliest arcade games from the 1980s. And seeing all these different games and all the nods, I found it funny because I grew up with a Master System and a Genesis and a Dreamcast. And I still play a lot of Sega's games to this day. But putting my fan enthusiasm inside, I do recognize that this won't be necessarily for everyone. I initially wanted to see it because I enjoy all things Sega, and while I wasn't expecting too much outside of a lot of Sega cameos, it ended up being funnier than I expected it to be, and the last episode really stuck with me. I thought it was a great idea and way to end out this series. It was fun watching favorite Sega characters run around and do silly things. The Sonic the Hedgehog cameo was really fun and lasted in 2 episodes as he went to defeat Dr. Eggman. I always enjoy Space Channel 5, so that's a personal favorite. And Gillius Thunderhead from Golden Axe is kind of a perv. And Jeffrey from Virtua Fighter, he's a weird guy. He's a weird guy. The best thing I can compare Hi-sCool Seha Girls to is a light candy treat. It's sweet, it's fun, it's satisfying, and it's over very quickly. Each episode is 11 minutes long, so nothing lingers too terribly long. And at the end, I kind of wish there was a little bit more, and I wish they'd been able to talk more about some of my other favorite games, but they did manage to cram a lot into this series. And the characters grew on me. And I'll always have a soft spot for Dreamcast. Well, that was my first animated series review, and I hope you enjoy it. If you have any ideas that you'd like me to explore, please drop them in the comments, send me a message, let me know. I'm always looking into new ideas. I've got some weird ones I'm planning to do in the next couple weeks, so we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, thanks for watching.